Hello and welcome to our latest edition of Nation Wants to Grow, the post-budget conclave hosted by Republic Business. I have with me two distinguished guests, Mr. Vikram Gulati, Country Head and EVP Corporate Affairs and Governance, Toyota Kirloskar, and Mr. Jyoti Malhotra, Managing Director of Volvo India. Thank you both for joining us. Mr. Gulati, I'll start with you. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman delivered a fantastic budget, an unprecedented tax cut for the middle class. I want to ask you, and then obviously there was the second most talked about subject, which was the likely reduction in the prices of EVs because of the 35 items that she's exempted from the customs duty. I want to really ask you, are the prices of EVs likely to come down?
First of all, thank you for inviting me to this show. It's a landmark budget by all means. The Honorable Finance Minister has done the remarkable by boosting consumption through the unprecedented tax reform that she's done in terms of reducing the rates, which is going to put more money in the hands of the consumers. More importantly, she's also increased the spend on the infrastructure, right? And remarkably, we are still maintaining our fiscal discipline. So having said that, there is a very important element in the budget towards sustainable mobility. And as you rightly pointed out, there is reduction in the import duty for 35 items which go into manufacturing of parts that are critical to EVs. And there is also another very important item in terms of allowing the import of key minerals, both the mineral itself as also for its recycling without duty. And definitely this is going to have an impact in terms of the cost of production and hence the prices of EVs in the country, because if you see the electric powertrain itself is around 40 to 60% of the cost of the EV. So localization is one part of it, and key to localization is investments that's going in, and the investments that go in with these exemptions, they're going to be much more competitive and much more able to deliver prices of EVs to the consumer at a lower rate.
Mr. Malhotra, what is your take on it? Are EV prices really coming down?
So first of all, once again, thank you for inviting me for this discussion here. And I agree with Mr. Gulati. I think this is a landmark budget. This is something nobody foresaw, that this sort of a big consumption-based tax reforms will come. And I'm sure this will boost the whole economy, because I think that the money is now in hand of the customer and they can choose to buy what they want to buy. Coming back to EVs, I think the whole focus here is to set up India as an EV manufacturing base, right? And that's the whole talk about, is about making in India and sort of making it for the world. And these steps of, I think, reducing the custom duties will go a long way. But let's not forget, these are, I think, mid-term means. These duties are not going to reflect into prices overnight. What it does, it makes the electric vehicles manufacturing in India more viable, both for legacy players and also for the startups. So I think what happens is that this encourages people to set up their facilities here, which can be a key component supplier to the EV industry. And it will have a ripple effect. It will impact the cost of vehicles. It is already creating a positive vibe in the consumers that, okay, the overall, I think, EV infrastructure and EV industry will get a boost out of this, and specifically the manufacturing side. And that would result in a better economy of scale, and then that leads to a better cost for end product. So it's a start of it's a fantastic boost, but it is not that something is going to happen overnight. This will have a ripple effect and it will impact the outcome as well.
But do we have I mean, as an industry veteran, do you see a timeline as to when the prices could really come down? What are some of the other factors that we need to look at for bringing the prices for EVs down? I mean, if that's the purpose.
See, end of the day, custom duty is only one component, right? It is about the overall cost of production, which involves many other things. So it's not that suddenly things will change. But as I said, how it works is that every industry needs economy of scale, right? For that, you need to ensure that the basics are in place. And I believe that in the mid-term, I think you will have this impact really bringing down the cost of EV is becoming more affordable for everyone. And I'm sure that is the whole idea, that we want more people to use sustainable mobility, and this will give a big boost to that.
Mr. Gulati, what's your take? Because Toyota has been among the first entrants in terms of hybrid vehicles. I want to ask you, if we really have to put a price to this entire thing, is there a percentage drop that you see in EVs in the next foreseeable future?
No, I agree with my industry colleague, Mr. Jyoti, and he's right. What this is, most importantly going to do is boost investments and investments into the supply chain, and also create scale. Scale and local investments and local manufacturing, clubbed with many other factors, is definitely going to lead to the outcome that we are seeking. So it's going to play itself out. There would be some time for this to play out completely. So it's at this juncture, how much this directly translates into a percentage reduction is a bit of a challenge to say, because there would be a lead time required. And besides this intervention that the Honorable Minister has made through the budget, I think the government has announced multiple other interventions, like, for example, next generation of reforms, plus major focus on skilling, education, because all of these factors are going to be critical in terms of how the local ecosystem is going to become competitive and be able to deliver lower costs of production of key parts, and hence leading to the final drop in the prices of the end product.
Okay, so this budget was primarily about the big bang tax reforms that the finance minister announced. Now, I understand that as a luxury car maker, the middle class in the bracket that has actually is directly receiving the benefits is not your direct consumer. But does this whole boost to consumption in any way affect your margins? Does it affect your demand, and how does it impact you?
So I think the way to look at this is going to affect everyone, right? Some benefit will accrue to everyone when the sort of tax benefits do happen. Obviously, the bigger money or savings happen for the middle class, and I think this will lead to is higher propensity to spend money. Once the money is in your hand, you can decide as a consumer how do you want to really spend it. This will boost the whole economy. The whole idea is not about just generating consumption for the sake of consumption for the short term. It's about bringing a big boost to the whole economy. And what it does, it again creates a effect which one thing leads to the other. So I think if you look at our customers, for example, they may gain very small when it comes to as a percentage saving in their direct tax saving. But how does it impact is if you're an entrepreneur, if you are a senior manager, or you are a businessman who is running his own business, this consumption is going to create demand for all the products, which will indirectly benefit the whole economy and for those individuals also. So we see more customers coming forward and benefiting out of this and participating in buying more luxury vehicles going forward. So this will, I think, the hope here is that this will really boost the whole consumption and economy. And I believe this is the right thing to do, and it will have that positive impact for us as a country.
Okay. Mr. Gulati, I want to ask you, I mean, one side we are talking about an EV push, but on the other side we also have an existing ecosystem which is about the ICE, the internal combustion engine. Is that a losing game in any sense now?
Not really, because if you look at the developments globally, the key takeaway is that the shift towards mobility, that's the key thing. It's what you're trying to achieve, basically reduction in fossil fuel consumption, lowering of carbon emissions, that's the goal. And globally what's being seen, the clear trend is towards multiple technologies, which are helping you to achieve that. So it's EVs, yes, but other technologies as well, plug-in hybrids, alternate fuels like ethanol having a big role to play. And in the nascent phase that we are in right now, in terms of the sales that have happened last year, the EV and the hybrid, let's say, offtake together combined, would be around 4 to 5%. So 95% of the market essentially remains unaddressed. So therefore, it's important to see how this unaddressed market can be shifted towards more sustainable mobility, whether it is through, let's say, adopting alternate fuels like ethanol, which the government is promoting, or through enhanced efficiencies, through various technologies like plug-in hybrids or hybrids, and so on and so forth. So I believe it's going to be a transition that's going to be at a different pace for different segments, and multiple technologies are definitely going to be something that's going to play a critical role in the way forward.
In the way forward, in the near future, can we say?
I guess in the not only in the near future, I think it's for quite some time, because even if you look at globally, the forecasts are changing, as we move forward, and it's difficult, honestly, to say what the forecast exact dates are going to be. But yes, I think these multiple technologies are going to play a role in, let's say, a decade to come or so.
So do you see, if I have to ask you, do you see a complete extinction or, a complete, that there is a day when the world is running, or India is running completely on EVs without any petrol or fuel engines?
What I'm trying to say here, and I'll try to clarify, is you see ICE meaning internal combustion engine, which is the technology of the day, can be modified to run on, let's say, ethanol. Now, ethanol, because it's a green fuel, means that that particular technology, that particular vehicle, although it's running on an engine, a traditional technology, but has been modified, is actually very green. Because ethanol itself is a negative carbon-based fuel, right? Because when you make ethanol, the plants are absorbing carbon. Similarly, the internal combustion engine can be modified to run on hydrogen. And this hydrogen can come from completely renewable sources, thereby making it equally, if not more, green as compared to, let's say, battery electric. So therefore, going forward, I don't see the internal combustion engine dying out completely, but it's having a different role to play and evolving in the journey towards sustainability.
Okay. Gentlemen, both of you mentioned the infra push. The government has been, there's tremendous impetus on capex and infra. But as far as EV is concerned, the second side of the coin is obviously the infra. I mean, how is that playing up in India? Is the EV development in the country getting complemented with the EV infra?
Yeah, I think it is. So, see, on one side, as we said, I think the mobility, we are moving in a direction that becomes more sustainable. And obviously, I think this means that, and I totally agree that this does not mean that there will be only one side of the thing and everything will move to only EVs. I think we will have a multiple sustainable solutions available in the market, and different segments will take them in a different way. If you look at today, even let's say three-wheelers, in the three-wheeler industry, the EVs are already gaining big ground because it makes a lot of sense there. For luxury industry, EVs are making much more, I would say the percentage adoption is much higher and it will continue to grow faster. So coming back to infrastructure, there are two parts to this. The first part is government is spending a lot on capex and we are building a lot of new roads. If you look at them together, what happens is that all the new roads that are now being built up are EV friendly. The infrastructure is coming up, and on other side, there is a lot of support for so-called companies who are sort of coming forward and participating in this as CPOs, who are the charge point operators, who are creating their new businesses by providing these charging solutions. And both are happening at a very fast pace. And I already see in last few months, this is gaining traction, it is gaining pace. And you would have noticed that in the recent past, in the Auto Expo, a lot of companies have announced a new electric vehicle cars, and that will also ensure that everybody participates in this. So there are three levels of, I think, infrastructure that will come up. One is every EV buyer probably have his own home charging solution. That is the role that is basically depend on the DISCOMs. DISCOMs need to ensure that they are able to provide this facility very easily without any bureaucracy. So that's one level. So that takes care a lot from a customer perspective. A customer would like to do the charging at home. So if that can be taken care of, so that's one part of it. The second level is the commercial charge point operators. If you are traveling from city A to city B, you want something to happen there. And that is also again happening at a very, very fast pace. And already if you go on the major highways, you will see that these are working. And I have been using now EV for a year. I have traveled a lot around. I can tell you it's just a myth that chargers don't work. They work. You have to plan, but they work. And you can plan your journey in a nice way, then you can really work. So that is already happening. And third is also at retailers. All the retailers for different auto companies are also setting up charging infrastructure. So I think they will also complement. It's not that they are not captive, that they are all going to be used by that same make as a customer, and those are also going to be in some way revenue generation for them as well. So it's happening at all three levels, and it is I think accelerating every day. And I can tell you that I think customers need to cross the line in their own mind. There is a sort of a fear that, okay, what will happen? All those anxieties are, I think, in my view, thing of past. If you really go out, actually try it out, you will see that you can really go out and do even long distances on EVs.
Mr. Gulati, this is where I want to bring you in, because one of the major shortcomings we can say, or the doubts in the minds of the customers, is that range is the issue. Is there a number that we're looking at? Because ranges are currently varying. What is the number? What is the EV industry's outlook towards increasing range?
Well, I think most of the products that are coming in now have a very decent range, but a lot of it's got, and there is also some data that is very interesting here. As a normal consumer, what would be the actual usage that you would be doing? It would be perhaps, let's say 50, 60 kilometers a day. And if you carry a range of, let's say, 400, 500 kilometers, that's pretty sufficient. But the issue with the consumer is to not only just look at that daily usage, but that usage that he's going to have to do once he needs to travel far away. I think that's also because as an asset, you can't have multiple cars for different requirements, right? So therefore, you do need public infrastructure to come up, which is coming up. There is also a need to make sure that it is conveniently available. I think the most important thing in the mind of a consumer is convenience. And for convenience, it is whether it is the speed of charging or the frequency of charging, or having peace of mind that knowing that if he were to take his vehicle in any location, irrespective of the distance involved, he would have options. And I think we are moving towards it. And I'd just like to supplement a few points. This government, I think, has been doing tremendous work in this direction. You see, in our journey towards sustainability, true sustainability comes when we shift to renewable energy. We are targeting 500 gigawatts by 2030. We are making good progress. But even now, as we speak, we remain highly coal-based. But to be able to realize the benefit of that renewable, which is coming up in a big way, you do need to have transmission which is better. And therefore, in this current budget, talked about incentivizing transmission, taking renewable energy that is getting generated from one state to the other. This budget also talked about trying to streamline and bring in reforms in the DISCOMs, which is going to be critical because DISCOMs are going to be needing to put up infrastructure at the last end, transformers, etc., to be able to deliver the capacity of people to be able to charge, whether it is to public or private charging points. And I think that, again, is a very important point. Plus, if you look at the solar program, the household solar program that the government had announced earlier, for certain segments, it becomes a game changer. For example, if you have a two-wheeler or a three-wheeler, you could be independent and could be charging with your solar that you have installed in your home. So I think a lot of things are being done. There is a lot more that requires to be done, even in evolved economies like Europe, etc., where charging infrastructure is very much available in abundance. Still, some issues remain. So it's going to be a journey that we will have to traverse.
Okay. Is there a day you see luxury EVs are more affordable to the middle class or the high middle class? Luxury EVs.
See,
what's the starting range? What's your income range for a?
See, I think what happens is that definition of luxury will change in every country. It depends upon the per capita GDP, right? How many more customers can come and participate? It is not about absolute prices. See, luxury will always be a premium pricing, right? It's not a car which is to be owned, or a luxury product is not supposed to be owned by everyone, and it exists in some form. But what happens is this will, as the economy grows, as the GDP per capita grows, I think this becomes bigger and bigger. It will never be like a mass market. Mass is very different than luxury. Luxury space will have its own space. But just to, I think, add back to, the discussion about these EVs, I think, as I said, I think now EVs are gaining traction, and especially for India, if you see, the government is doing on both fronts, obviously from a renewable energy perspective and setting the right infrastructure for EVs and trying to make EV as a manufacturing base. But if you look at it as a country, why does it really make to go for EVs now? And if you really ask me, there are three primary reasons. One, why are we thinking of making green cars or sustainable cars is basically to reduction in the pollution, especially moving away from the cities. And I think, our cities are now being labeled as one of the worst in the whole world. So we need to do something, and EVs can bring a solution. Even EVs can bring a solution for that. We are on IC engines. The challenge is ethanol is a good solution, but we are still dependent on the fossil fuel. We import them, and we need to cut that bill. That's what government has been saying, and that focus is very much there. So we need to cut that, and then hence again EV makes a lot of sense. And third is we want to make in India, create a manufacturing base, and EV is something which the world is still coming to in terms of. So we need to make those cars here in India, and that will take care of itself.
Okay. One final question to both of you, just a quick wrap up, is when will EV companies pass on the benefit? I mean, as a consumer, when I look at it, I will be saving on fuel when I'm moving to EVs. When will EV companies transfer the benefit of reduced price or offer less premiumization and help the consumer buy more EVs? A quick one from both of you.
I think all the companies, I believe, including ours, are passing on and trying to encourage sustainable mobility solutions. And I think that will continue to be so.
Oh.
Yeah, I think same here. I think as far as benefits are concerned, whatever is available, we pass on to the consumer. See, what happens is, as this segment grows, economy of scale happens, the benefit will ultimately go back to the consumer.
Wonderful. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us on Republic Business. Thank you very much. It was lovely having you both. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you.